would diminish their budget. What's the benefit of going into space? What does it get us? Where's the bottom line profit? And then there were the accidents over the years that helped cement those concerns. Apollo 1, Challenger, Columbia, all the lost probes. NASA can't get anything right with the money they have, the politicians barked. Why should we give them any more? Never mind the fact that one can't build a better mousetrap without initial capital. From the political point of view, it was all no profit, no results, no funds. Which left NASA officials with one fundamental problem: how to get to the moon in a 6-month time frame with the pittance they'd been allotted. Oh, the president promised more money, sure, Diekman thought as he slumped in his chair. But how much of that's actually going to get to us? The military's going to be clamoring for more funds now with the Chinese fleet conducting military exercises off of Taiwan. Deke scratched out some rough figures for this mission on a legal pad and laughed. There's no way they're going to give us this. But first things first. They needed to figure out how to get to the moon in 6 months. Many of the younger engineers and designers with no living memory of Apollo were intimidated by the idea of sending astronauts across the translunar expanse. A number of wild ideas had already come across Deke's desk. The wildest of all was the one that involved building a giant orbiting magnet to yank the object out of the moon. More practical ones involved unmanned landers with computer-guided robots on the ground that could dig out the object and analyze it there. But Deke knew that having people on the moon was the best and fastest way of excavating the object. That was the only way to ensure getting to the moon as quickly as the president wanted. Deke clicked his pen absent-mindedly as he looked out the windows behind his desk. Yeah, it could work, using Apollo as a guide. With Phoenix 3, NASA had already shown that the capsules were capable of docking with another ship, in that case the International Space Station. The plan had been to continue to aid the Europeans and the Russians in supplying the station for the next couple of years, while Phoenix's lander got off the drawing board. Now they would need to move it from the research and development phase to launch capability in just 6 months. But even so, the capsule only needs to be reconfigured for the new mission using Apollo's design specs as an initial blueprint. We might even be able to do it on our budget, provided we freeze all projects currently in development, and we could practically guarantee the president that it would work. If only we had a few guys left from Apollo to help us with the modifications of the original design. Deke stood up and stretched, jerking his tie down and his top collar button open in one motion. He glanced over at the models on his desk of the old Apollo command and lunar modules. Well, we'd need to send a bigger team, not just 3 men. That wouldn't be a problem with the capsule. Modern computers take up a hell of a lot less space than what went into Apollo. We could put more guys into it easy, but we'd have to build a bigger lander. Actually, the lander might have to be pretty huge, especially if the president wants us to bring the object or pieces of it back for analysis. A landing crew of at least 3, maybe 4. That would mean a much bigger booster. The weight's the issue. Those old Apollo vets were always worried about weight. Wait a minute. Isn't old Cal Walker still alive? Deke remembered seeing him at the Space Center recently, at a party or something. Christ, he's got to be pretty old by now. 80, if not 85. But the old bastard was still sharp as a tack, rattling off all the reasons why the lunar module had to be so light, how they had to get rid of the seats in the original design, shrink the windows. I bet old Cal would love to sink his teeth into this, he thought with a grin, provided he still has any. Deke picked up the phone and punched in his assistant's extension. "Matty, can you come in here for a minute?"